Good morning. This is Rich Nelson with Allendale. Special update on July 12th, year 2022. Monthly supply and demand report from USDA here this morning. For the most part, not any major surprises, but we have to point out there were some differences to look at on corn, soybeans, and wheat versus USDA's June numbers. As far as corn, old crop stocks were raised from 1.485 to now 1.510 billion bushels. So just a little higher than the average trade guess. On the new crop side, USDA did incorporate those June 30th acreage numbers. They left the yield number unchanged from June, still at 177. And as far as new crop stocks, they did raise those from 1.40 to 1.470. So for corn, old crop and new crop stocks, just a little higher than the average trade guess. As far as discussions on the corn balance sheet for the world side of things here, no major changes to speak of for Brazil or Argentina. Nothing moving for the China numbers as well. Looking over at Ukraine, they did leave production unchanged. They could have raised that if they wanted to. Currently still at 25 million tons. They left Ukraine exports unchanged at 9 million tons versus June. As far as soybean numbers, looks like they did make some moderate changes as far as the old crop stocks. They actually did raise them from 205 million bushels to now 215. So that was just a little higher than what the trade was expecting. As far as the new crop side, they did incorporate those lower acres from that June 30th report, and they left yields unchanged at 51.5. No surprise there. New crop stocks were lowered from 280 to 230, which pretty much was within our expectation. Got to point out it was just a little higher than the average trade guess of 211. As far as discussions on the world side, no major changes for Brazil or Argentina to speak of that we can get too excited about. The China numbers, in this case for soybeans, those are also left unchanged here from last month's report for the most part. I do have to point out that a small change for imports. They lowered their estimate yet again, 99 million tons for new crop. That was lowered to 98. But keep in mind, no changes for production or domestic crush were noted on this report. As far as discussions on the wheat side of things here, as far as the old crop balance sheet, that was adjusted from 655 to now 660. That was fully expected. As far as discussions on production, USDA did raise the winter wheat production a little higher than expected. So as far as acreage, that was raised about 500,000 acres, which was in line with that June 30th report. And they also did raise yields, going from 46.9 to now 47.3. And as far as discussions on total wheat production, that was revised higher, 1.737 billion bushels, now 1.781. They only expected 1.745. So USDA did raise numbers for wheat production higher than we expected. This came from winter wheat production as well as other spring, higher numbers than expected. In fact, other spring at 503 million bushels, that was quite a bit over the 458 trade expectation. So this helped push the new crop stocks from 627 million bushels last month, now 639. As far as the world numbers on the wheat side, no major changes for many of the producers that we do watch, but let's highlight the fact that Argentina was lowered 500,000 tons for production, now at 19.5. Also pointing out Canada was raised by 1 million ton to now 34. I find it interesting that Russia was raised only 500,000 ton, now 81.5. Most of the trade is 85 to 89. Now, one thing we have been watching for are the Ukraine numbers. USDA did lower their Ukraine crop 21.5 to now 19.5. They did leave export numbers unchanged at 10. So bottom line for us on the domestic side here, a little higher than expected corn stocks, soybean numbers just a little bit higher than expected as well. And I think the trade would be a little surprised by the little larger than expected U.S. wheat production numbers, true for both winter as well as other spring. So if you have any questions about these markets, how to market in this environment, give Allendale a call, 1-800-262-7538. Also, keep in mind at the end of this month, we've got our biannual conference coming up. Get on board with what we've got to say here for these next 6 months. Thank you.